welcome to Home-Based Meetups, our first session for this school year, official session. We had one in the summer, but this is starting our 4 quarterly sessions. We are in the NCEES, North Carolina Educator Effectiveness System, and I'm thinking I'm not in the Home-Based Meetup. Open the slides. Right slides up here for you. All right, so we're going to start the opening with our home-based manager, Dr. Rob Dietrich. Let me get this presented. And I'll try to keep an eye on the chat. Y'all can say hi, hello in the chat if you like. We also have a Padlet later to share good news and things like that. But I'm going to turn it over to Rob Dietrich, our home-based manager.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Cammie. I hope everyone had a good weekend. What a way to start off a Monday than with Cammie leading a home-based meetup. It's going to be awesome. I do want to thank everyone for attending. I know that Mondays are always busy. Cammie, next slide, please.
All right. I didn't copy this link before I go.
Yeah, sure.
All right, so I want to make sure everybody signs in today.
Yeah. And please make sure that everybody signs in, and you can see the slides there for the opening there at the bottom, and you can see the sign in that we need you to sign in. We believe attendance is very important, and we like to know who's coming on a regular basis to make sure you're being kept up to speed with everything that is going on. Next slide, please. There has been an update in WebEx. I missed the audio options update on the right. However, when you come into the system, it should ask you how you wanted to join. The chat feature is in the lower right. You should see a chat box. If you click on that chat box, you enter your question, you hit enter. Please do remember that all participants can see the questions that you ask. And next slide, please. Please remember that we think the home-based meetups are one of the most important things that we do. That we believe that this is the place where you foster positive, productive, field-based relationships where we get a chance to interact with you all very well. We're able to communicate product specific. We're able to get feedback from you. We can provide collaborative time-solving networks, and it's definitely providing coordination between DPI-based groups that serve end users of home-based products. Next slide, please. Okay. We have changed something. This is kind of the first change here. We have determined that we want to give CEU credits for those who attend the home-based meetups. And most home-based meetups run this schedule, but we were not offering the CEUs. In the future, moving forward, we will have a welcome from an advisory member, and then we'll give home-based updates like I'm doing right now. And then from usually 10:30 to 12, the product session will give updates, and then we will have training for 1 hour, and 0.1 CEU will be given. At the end of the slide, what you're going to get, no worries. At the end of the session that Cammie gives, you will get a link, and when you fill out that link, it will shoot a certificate to you, and then you'll have to put your name in that certificate to get your 0.1 CEU credit. We believe that that is a very good thing and that you should get that for the training opportunities that we provide you when we meet during these meetings. We think that that's going to be a big positive for everyone in the field. Next slide, please. And here is the agenda for the week. We have Monday is obviously NCEES, that's why we're all here. On Tuesday is SchoolNet. On Wednesday is a double dose of Homebase with PowerSchool and Learning.com. On Thursday, you get Canvas, and on Friday is Go Open, which has continued to grow and grow and grow in light of the current situation that we're in with COVID-19 and everyone learning from home, including many teachers as we work through professional development. So it is all good. And next slide, please. Again, there are the dates for the future. So our next home-based meetup will not be until November. And you see it is the same slide. And one thing that should stand out on this slide is we believe we're going to be doing virtual home-based meetups all year. If that changes, we will let you know. However, as I have told my team often, the one good thing about doing it in this format in this way is you hear one voice one day say the same thing. Because sometimes when you go to 4 different meetings over 4 different days, sometimes some things get misinterpreted. They go the wrong way. Sometimes some things are said differently on Tuesday than they were on Monday. So the good news is with this format going one time, you hear the one thing. Now, the disadvantage to this is I really enjoyed going out and seeing everybody's faces and seeing the different parts across the state and really touching base with people personally. I don't think that is the most important thing that we do, so I do miss that a great deal. Next slide, please. We are, for those who are unaware of this, home base is actually a part of the digital teaching and learning environment. And it is very important to remember that digital teaching and learning has put out a ton of resources right now. And I want to make sure you know that if you go to the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction's website, that you have access to all these resources. The North Carolina Remote Learning Resources and Information page that is front and center. The digital teaching and learning page that will explain to you our purpose, our mission, and vision. And then lighting our way forward, which is how we are making it through this COVID-19 pandemic in these unprecedented times we're in. So we are doing our best as home base and digital teaching and learning to give you all the necessary resources that you possibly can have so that our kids can continue receiving a high quality education through this time. Next slide, please. And then, of course, there's the home base website that I always like to get folks to. And this is a great place for you to go to where you can see all the resources we have available for our products that in the home base suite, where you have the ability to opt in. You can learn about NCEES. You can learn about Canvas, all of the many things we have to offer to try to bring equitable access, personalized learning to every person in North Carolina. That's both students and staff. Please continue. Next slide. Our home-based team had a few changes since our last meeting. And I see a couple of folks in here. Pam Batchelor. I've listed Pam and Cammie because they got some changes to what they do. Pam used to do Canvas, Go Open, SchoolNet, and Imagine Math. She now currently is going to shift her focus to just Canvas and Go Open. Cammie used to do NCEES and Learning.com, and now her focus is primarily NCEES. And of course, as you can tell by if you look at the participant list, there are a lot of these home-based members in our audience here today. We support each other 100% of the time, and I'm very glad to be a part of a team that is so tight. John Mayers, who is excellent. He is now going to take on SchoolNet as well as the professional learning team, continue to being a great member of that. Audrey Long has picked up Learning.com, and she's been off to a very good start with that. We're very appreciative of that. And Dr. Carmela Fair, you might not be familiar with her, but she works with digital teaching and learning with Dr. Wren, and she has picked up Imagine Math and kind of being the point contact person for Imagine Math. It is these changes are meant for one purpose and one person only, and that is to make sure that our service in the field continues to be top-notch and excellent for you so that we can provide you with the customer service and attention that you need. I don't think there are any questions on that. Cammie, next slide. Please make sure that you view the home-based contact list, and please make sure that it is updated all the time. We look at this to make sure we're reaching out to the right people. Next slide, please.
Okay. I believe this is my slide.
Yeah, you have at it, Cammie. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So this is I wanted to share with everybody the NCEES news site page on our site for COVID 2020 that Dr. Robert Sachs and Dr. Kim Simmons have put together within the recent weeks. A lot of you are already using these, and Angela's going to talk more about these, so I won't go in depth right now. But this is a good resource for you guys that are doing those blended and virtual learning opportunities and having to do those evaluations and observations. So we're going to talk more about that during our session. I don't think Audrey's on right yet, but just also let you know with Learning.com, they worked with us this past summer in a little pilot group that we did with the Learning.com users to get some remote instruction sequences for teachers and students. Teachers can easily just come out here and sign this. This is a subset of the full curriculum, but it gets students on here to quickly learn online safety, digital citizenship, keyboarding, word processing, etc. So this is a quick way for teachers to assign that curriculum to their students. There's a webinar for everybody statewide, whether you are. Most of you know that this is the K-8 Digital Literacy Initiative, and funding was supplied for our Tier 1 districts, but this webinar was intended for all our districts. If you are interested in looking into this for some digital curriculum for your students, that webinar is a good one to watch. All right, so Rob, did you want to add anything else, or is he gone?
No, I am right here. I think I am good. I think that probably the biggest thing for this is that please know as the week continues, the slide decks will continue to grow. Things change constantly in digital teaching and learning, as everyone knows, and with home base. So my folks are working with new information that they could be learning this day now, and that's why we don't put them in there currently. So as they present, they will add their slide decks. And I just want to thank everyone again for their attendance here today, and we look forward to working with you. And as always, please reach out if you have any questions, because we're here for you ultimately.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rob. It looks like we had somebody who wanted a link to the opening slides, and I've got that linked also in our breakout slide deck. So let's hop over to the slide deck. And Rob, you have a good Monday. Can't hang around. But we're going to hop over here. I think I've already got it up. That in the chat for you. Here's just a look at our whole team. We have an awesome team that's out there for you. And we'll happy to serve you guys and take all your questions and get answers for you. All right, so I did put the link. I'm thinking it looks like everybody can access okay. Just let me know if you can't. Thank you to whoever was. I saw we had a little bit of access issues earlier, but it looks like my team has jumped on there and made sure everything was shared. So we're into the NCEES session for, I don't know why this is July, but hang on. Might help if I get the right session. This one. Probably because I didn't change the title this time. So I changed everything but the title. All right. All right. So you are in the NCEES section for September 2020. And again, there's a link for today's slides. We do have a new way to open our session. So I'm going to welcome Angela Cogdill from Granville today.
Good morning.
Say a few words.
Good morning and happy fall Monday morning. I'm glad to see all 43 of us in the participating today. And Cammie wanted me just to say, to think through, we have a home-based advisory board committee and just want to let you know who our PSU representatives are. This group meets quarterly with DPI regarding vendor roadmaps for future enhancements and product input. And one of the things as we think through that, Rob mentioned, is about eliciting feedback from this group to inform state level decisions. So our meetup data, data from the field, not only that, but also the feedback that comes in with our home-based Google group also plays an important role. And thank you, Sally and Brian, as our group managers from that. Sally Reynolds of Wake County, Brian Probst of Buncombe County. And you may have seen Sally's email that came out this morning that this listserv was developed many years ago so that we as NCEES district administrators can help support one another. It takes a village, so we want to be able to share ideas, give feedback, and we're very appreciative to have Cammie Nairn and Robert Socks at DPI supporting us for this as well. So as we think through, I think Sally sent an email out this morning that we respond to all so that we can help share, solve, share information, pull up solutions, and that no question is too small or too large. That is, we want this to be driven by you. Each of us coming into this have different roles within our district, so we would just want to make sure that we share those best practices and processes within the system. So those conversations and discussions are really, really important. So as part of that, the home base advisory committee that's listed. Cammie, do you have that slide? Next, I am Angela Cogdill with Granville County Public Schools. NCEES is one of my roles as part of HR. We have, and if you want to shout out and say hello on board with us this morning, Sherri Thomas from Guildford County Schools. Sherri, you want to say hello?
Good morning.
Thank you. Erica Newkirk is with Chapel Hill Carver City Schools, and she's unable to join us today. For those of you in HR, some of you know that PANC is having part of a conference with the Law Symposium today. So both she and Dean Richardson of Alamance Burlington School System will be there. And then Brian Probst, I know you're double booked today as well from Buncombe County Schools. Brian, are you on with us now?
I am. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Brian, and thank you and Sally Reynolds also for managing our Google group that's out there. So please know that all 5 of us here are willing to help and support in any way that we can, and I know that each of you out there help solve and respond through our groups, and so teamwork makes the dream work. So thank you all.
Thank you, Angela. That was awesome introduction. So appreciate that. And if you have joined us, please self-mute to help with the background noise.
And Cammie, can I add to that with what Angela said?
Yes.
I want to, and actually, let me turn my camera on for this. I do want to thank all the home base advisory board members. They are extremely important to home base. I've already had one meeting with them in my current role, but I am thoroughly glad with what they provide to home base and the interaction that the product managers are able to have with the home base advisors in order to continue moving the products forward. So thank you very much, because I know they have to take time out of their day to do that. I do want to thank them for that service, because I think it's a very big deal that they're participating. So thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you, Cammie.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we're going to go into the next part where I'll do some NCEES updates for you for the 2021 school year. And the first thing we usually do, it probably won't take quite as long as we usually do, but if you'll click on this Padlet, I'll put it in the chat for you. I want you to share your good news, and then of course we always do the successes and challenges we've had since the last time we met. And let me get that in the chat. There we go. So we're going to click over here. And if you're brand new, please also introduce yourself in the good news to share. You've never been to a NCEES session. If you would please, you just have to click this. You can title it, and then you can write something. As people put their notes out here, you can heart their notes. You just have to click a plus sign to start a note. If you want to delete it, it's up here. If you want to add a picture, there's a bunch of little options down here as well. And then you can also comment on other people's notes as they put them out there. So let's take a minute or two and give you guys some time to share your good news, anything, even good news in your life that's going on, good news with the system or anything like that. And then any successes you're having with NCEES, any challenges you're having with NCEES, any questions that you hope to have answered today or need an answer to, you've already put in a ticket or something, so I can follow up on them. We'll add those to our DPI action items. So if y'all will go ahead, and can you access that link okay? And while you're doing that, I see a couple of questions about getting on the listserv. We have a NCEES bulletin listserv. If you'll open a ServiceNow support ticket for that, or email Yolanda Wilson, and I can get you that email. You can email me. Either way, we'll make sure you get to the NCEES listserv, and then the NCEES Google group. Brian, Angela and I were trying to find that link earlier. and I couldn't find it quick enough before to get it on the slides. So there is the link that I'll put on the slides when I have time to get out there and find it, unless Brian can go ahead and post that, or Sally, the link that lets you actually request access, or just email Brian and he will be glad to add you, or email myself and I'll be glad to add you. Brian, now though, if you want to go ahead and email Brian, Yolanda just posted her email for the NCEES listserv, or any other listserv for CIS and things like that. And then there's the Google group. Oh, this is the NCEES group, I think. No, is that the? Let me click on that and see what that is. Oh, that's the Google group. So the link is in there for the Google group. All right, we're going to take maybe a minute to get your notes out there. Looks like we have some new folks. That's great. Okay, so you guys can keep on adding. I'm going to read through some of our good news to share. Let me get this one out of the way. All right, looks like we have Alicia Reel. And if you guys want to unmute for a second, say hi, that's great, you new guys. So we have Alicia Reel. She's from Island Montessori Charter School in Wilmington. Thank you for joining today. First time attending. Lisa Thompson. Lisa, do you want to tell us where you're from? Looks like she was maybe still adding to her note here. Like
I'm from Union County.
Yes.
And taking on some CEU responsibilities with a retirement that we have.
Okay, great. Welcome, Lisa. Here's thanks for the updates for Robert Sox and the team for observing remote and blended learning. Yes, Robert worked really, really hard trying to get those out as soon as he could to you guys. So we appreciate Robert a lot, and Kim for getting that page together. Here's Marla Jordan from Edenton Chowan Schools. New to the group, worked in NCEES for years, but first time joining.
Why I can't get on.
All right. And then not new to NCEES webinars, but this is my first home-based meeting. Well, welcome. This was Kitty Hobbs with DHHS Caswell Development Center, Director of Education. We're excited to have you here too. And there's Quamisha Whitted Miller. I hope I said that correctly. Chapel Hill Carborough Schools, City Schools. First time in NCEES, attending a NCEES home-based meetup. Welcome to you. And here's some more good news. Teacher leaders facilitating Chromebook distribution. As Guildford Prep Academy teachers have facilitated an efficient and organized experience for parents and guardians and students. It's good to see. I love to see all those posted in Twitter and Facebook. It's going on so great. That's good news for Guildford. Thank you. And then success with staff. This is the first year that all but one staff member has successfully started their plan after training. Ah, that's awesome news. Very good news. Sounds like training went well. All right, so let's jump over to the successes. The COVID site, the resources and videos are helpful. Another one for the COVID site. And with agreements on that, communication has been great. Love Robert Sox's 2-hour evaluation training with Cammie a few weeks ago. Thank you. Robert, I love to listen to Robert because he makes the analogies so relevant. It makes you understand without using the big words. So I like that. So thankful that the system is working well and staff are able to get in and complete their PDPs and observation information. All going well for us in Clay County. You're very welcome. And I appreciate the consistent communication from the team at DPI. Anybody want to comment on any successes before we move on to challenges? All right. So let's look at the challenges. It says there should be a late hire PDP. Trying to get all 3 steps into 3 months is difficult. So we can take that back. as we move forward. There was probably not any changes for anything like that right now, but as we move forward and look at how the system should be in the coming year or so, two, we will definitely take that into consideration. That one over here. We need the ability to copy ratings from a previous observation to a new observation. And again, that's coming with an upgrade. It kind of folds just so you can show the observation that you need from what we've looked at. And we really think that's going to help you guys a lot when we can get the system upgraded. All right. Currently, an observation has to be finalized unless every element is rated. It would be nice to know when the user presses save if there was an element that was inadvertently skipped. We've definitely looked at this. There's not been a way for us to like notify you which one was skipped right now, but we've definitely asked for that as an enhancement. All right, and then acknowledgement override should take effect immediately, not have to wait overnight. This has something to do with the overnight processing of staff. We will definitely take that into consideration because we've asked about that as well. So y'all are thinking on the same lines as we are. So know that we're out there working with the DPI support, not Power School support team to get some of these things in place for you. All right, challenges, NCEES amnesia. We're almost over the beginning of your bump for people to remember how to use the system. Great comment. I like that. Yeah, when you're out of it for the summer and then when we have a year like we're having, yes, we have to take time to make sure everybody re-understands what they learned last year. Principal concerns that are still too many clicks and steps for completing an observation. And we hope to address that even more as we upgrade the system. We've got it down as close to what we can do right now so that the system will report out what we want it to report out. So we have got the clicks down from where it was originally. But yes, we do understand that concern. And upgrade questions. Is there news about an upgrade? So we had to postpone that this year, especially when everybody went remote. That just had to be put on hold. There was no way we could implement it over the summer. We are looking at that again, but there's nothing I can say about that right now. We do have a CSRFP out there, and we are owned by Power School, so we'll have to talk about upgrade after that is all finalized. And BT coordinator, how are others observing BT coordinators in their district, in NCEES or other evaluation tools? If you guys would like to comment there, but we also have time at the end of this session for networking. And some of this may be answered as we do our training session today with Angela and Sherri and myself. All right, and then I think I meant to put this one over here. All right, so let me see if we got anybody else added here. I think we're good. All right, so thank you guys for taking the time to fill that out. We'll pop back over to the slides. So great comments, great questions. I really appreciate you guys participating in that. All right, so code 128. Whew, I feel like we've been trying to put this in for months, but hopefully, I'm hoping it will be in by the end of this week. We got to work with Power School one more time and with my IT team to make sure that the overnight person import file knows to pick up code 128. But this is ready to go to production now. Power School finally figured out what was going on. They were trying to get it in test and they couldn't get it over there. Finally got it over there so I could review it before we put it in production. But this is ready to go. Know that hopefully it'll be in by the end of the week. As soon as I can get it in, I will let everybody know. And if anybody has any question about what that role is, they will be on the teacher evaluation plan. Last year, we only had like 5 people in the whole state that were using code 128. These are your reemployed retired teachers that are not subject to the post-retirement earnings cap. Soon, premium library. So we're working, if you didn't know, over the summer with our pilot groups. We had Alamance, Burlington, Bladen, Brunswick, and Cabarrus, and we thank them for being our pilots in They went through and reviewed the premium library, how it's set up, how you search for paid opportunities for your staff, how you purchase seats. They are currently piloting right now with Power School, setting up a way to pay for courses. And we're going to go through that through this month. And then probably towards late October, we're going to try to get an implementation timeline for production. Power School does have some free course vendors. There's one free course in here, and then they're getting Capella courses, which are offering a lot more free courses. So we have a couple options when we roll out in October, and you guys think about it. We can either roll this out district by district as you request to be able to use this. What happens is you come out here and you purchase seats for paid opportunities for your staff to take. There are different options to pay. I won't go through all those. You can preview the recording down there. But once you've purchased seats, it ends up in your PD office. So you must be opted into home base because you'll manage the courses from your PD office once those seats are purchased. And so you can add staff or you can publish it to your catalog and staff can sign up. So just watch that preview recording. We'll have a webinar when we're ready to roll this out. With us getting possibly the Capella courses, we may just open this up statewide, and then you work with Power School on an as-needed basis to set up the paid opportunities. Any questions about that? All right. So again, here is your COVID information page, and we'll just pop over there and take a quick look. We'll come back out here later. I think Angela was going to talk a little bit about how she's using this page. So it is the first link after home on your NCEES information and resources page. And it's information, presentations, and supporting resources for NCEES. Support for remote and blended instruction using NCEES. This video is very good. I'll let Angela talk more about that. And then if you scroll down the page, there are some additional supporting resources, especially in this blended opportunities remote environment that we're doing right now. All right, and then here is a NCEES PD course requester survey. So I'm gonna pop out there if you guys, and I'll put this link in the, I want our ESU leads, our charters and LEAs to please take this survey. What we're asking, let me get this pasted here, and this is the PD survey. I don't know if that worked or not. Let's try that again. All right, that worked. So in the chat is the link to the PD survey. This is also linked in the slides. We've had several requests from different districts that they are utilizing the component in NCEES for the PD office. And they have office administrators that manage the PD office, but then they also have what we call the course requester role. So the course requester role can submit a course and it's for approval. So somebody has to do the final approving of the course requester's course or learning opportunity that they're submitting. And once it's submitted, the course requester no longer has edit rights to what they've set up. So we are asking in this survey as to what level of rights would you like them to have, or would you not? Would you want them to stay at the level of rights they currently have, where once they've submitted it, they can no longer access it? We've had some districts say, well, yes, if the teacher or instructor changes or the room changes or other changes go on in the section, I would love them for the course requester to be able to do those edits and not them having to come to me as a PD office administrator to go in and edit their section. The other option is they can also edit at course level. So that would mean the title and anything in the course setup would be editable to the course requester role. So we can do either option. They can edit the section that they build out in the instructor-led course, or they can edit the course level, or they can edit both. So we need to tell Power School Support, or if most of you say no, keep them as they are, then we'll keep them as they are and we won't allow them to edit a course after approval. Any edits would have to be done by the PD office administrator. The little thing won't go away. I was going to try to get back. There it goes. I have a little down at the top up here that keeps popping down over my tabs. All right, let's try this again. All right, so you can take that today. I will be sharing this out on our Friday newsletter as well, so we'll keep it up in about a week or two. Just come in here and answer the questions. You just need your name, your role, what type of district you are, the district name and number. And then, does your PSU use the PD office component of NCEES? Yes, no, because our PSU is not opted into home base, or no, our PSU is opted into home base, but we're choosing not to use a PD component. If you want to, please tell us why you do not. If you answer no, you do not use the PD office component of NCEES, or why you do use it. And I think I need to reword that question, but I'll fix that later. And then the course requester role in the PD office allows staff to submit a course proposal for approval. Does your PSU use those course requester roles? And if you answered yes on using the course requester role, would you like the course requester to be able to edit the course after it has been approved? And there's your options there. And then what level of edit options, if you'd like to see some edit options for the course requester, would you like to have? And that's it right there. So please do complete that survey. Okay, so I've been getting some requests for training accounts, and it is late in the year. And Power School Support knows that. Rob has talked to them. I've talked to them. We've set up a process for next year. They've documented their process on how to upgrade our training sites and our test sites so that we can have them available within a week or two after end of year. Because waiting this long, you guys need these training sites over the summer so you can take your screenshots and everything. I am working on these tomorrow. I just got access to these last week, but here is the link to the training site here, and it looks like this at the screenshot at the top right when you log in. And so what do you need to log in with? You need usernames, and they're on this spreadsheet. Now, if you try it and it doesn't work, just give me a chance to get out there. I have not set any plan types. So if you want to sign in as your group of names, those of you that are familiar with this, I ask you to select a group of names to sign up for. And you see you have a district administrator, a site administrator, and then some teachers and support staff in here. I have not gone in this year yet because we just got access to this and set any plan types on anybody. So if you sign in as a district administrator for this group, you should be able to go to my staff and go ahead and set your plan types and let them process overnight, and then you can use your training accounts. I will be going out there tomorrow and trying to set some plan types or for a bunch of these, but if you want to go ahead and do that, you can. I did not take anybody's names off of here, so if you've already signed up, you should still have these same groups. I will also verify that these are active. I have not done that yet. So if you go out there and say I can't sign in, they may not be active yet. But just you shoot me an email and ask me to look at somebody, and I'll make sure if you need them right away. Okay. All right, any question about the training site? Kyle says great. Yes, you're welcome, Kyle. All right, and then if you've not noticed it yet, we do have a YouTube NCEES playlist. You can go out there, and I'm still uploading our last Tuesday's webinar. I've got a few finalizations to do on the cutting of the video, so it's a decent length and all that. And then we'll get it uploaded from last Tuesday, and from the NC Bold sessions, I'll get those uploaded tomorrow as well, or today, later today. But this is our NCEES YouTube playlist. And there it is, what we've got posted so far. If you have anything from last year you want posted up here, just let me know and we'll get those uploaded as well. I'm working on doing those in between times to get those loaded as well. All right, somebody is, let me mute, see if that was it. Okay, I think that was it. All right, and then finally, we also have a new Facebook page. So this is for all products to post to, for you guys to post to. I posted home-based meetups this morning. So go out there and check out our Facebook page. And then if you missed our July session, that's when I went over everything that's new in NCEES. If you have any questions about what's new in NCEES today, let's do that during our networking session. And we'll get those questions answered for you. So we went over beginning of year and what's new.
Yes, that is correct. And we actually
Let's see. All right, I think I got it. All right, do we have any questions before we move into our hour of training? Okay, I've got about 20 minutes till, quarter till. All right, so we wanted to talk today about onboarding staff and how we do that. So a lot of this is probably already done by a lot of groups, but we wanted to review for our new folks as well, how people actually get in there, because there's a lot to think about. A lot of source systems used to get the right data in the system for the NCEES person import file to pick people up and to either activate them or inactivate them in NCEES. Is there a copy of this slideshow? Yes, we posted the link earlier to the slide deck, so you can make your own copy as well. Let me do that real quick. See, we're on slide 16. We put this link back out there. All right, this is our slides. Okay, there's the link to the slides. Let me come back here. All right, so we have several documents. Wherever you see this hand icon, you can click on the picture and go to the document. So kind of new this year. Well, it was new this year. Before, our charter schools had to opt into home base to get access to both evaluation and the PD office component of NCEES. And we reviewed that thought process and we said, no, they should have access to the evaluation component as well. Charter the option to use the evaluation component. All public school units or LEAs have to use the certified rubrics that are out there. Charters do have that option, but it is a free option. So we've had a lot of charters wanting to use it. So charters, you should all now automatically see the NCEES icon in your NC Ed Cloud dashboard. If you do not, let me know. The slides in the link don't match the one we're on. Did I copy the wrong slide link? So I'm on slide 16 right now. Try this. Make sure I gave you the right link. It's showing up okay for me, but we will share this out again. I think they're showing okay for me. I'm not sure why you're not seeing. You're seeing
Cammie, we've got one with the lighthouse. It's lighting our way forward.
Oh, are you on the opening slides?
It may be.
Yeah, you're on the opening slides. You need, let me put
So
this.
that was the one that you shared.
Yolanda just put it out there again. Try that one.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So here is the welcome letter that I send out to our brand new schools. And I've started sharing with everybody because there's a lot of good information out here. kind of like a checklist. What's NCEES all better? All right. All right, so it's just a welcome. It tells you about the components of home base and what evaluations are found in NCEES, and it's in the PDPs, and the administration has their principal or AP plan. And then there's like a task list that you can check off to grant or provision staff access to NCEES. And this is what we'll be going over today. We have our latest NCEES Data V7 document. This we share all the time because we always have questions about why is my staff not showing up in NCEES, and we'll be going through this whole document in the next few slides. It's like one of those pages is slow to load, but it lists all the fields that we need, and then all the budget codes and roles that show up in NCEES. Notice everybody is a certified role except for one, and that's code 153, the administrative specialist, that a lot of districts use to be the NCEES district administrator, the person with NCEES DA rights in NCEES. And we'll talk about that if you have any questions about that. All right, and then here also it talks about the PD component. Once you've opted in, you can have a PD office. I may need to build it out for you. If it's not built out yet, just let me know. And then here's a couple of webinars that are good to watch about creating your PD office and using it to house your professional learning opportunities. And we just did some awesome sessions at Homebase at the NC Bowl last week about that as well. And then we talk about the NCEES roles, and then how to assign those how to assign those system access rights. If you're brand new, I have to set the very first NCEES district administrator. That's somebody that sees everybody. They can reopen activities and plans, but they can't evaluate people. They can create ad hoc reports. They can run reports. So this is a overall role that you probably want to limit some use to, but you do need at least one or two as a backup to reopen those plan activities. And also they get assume identity rights, which allows you to troubleshoot issues for your staff. So if they missed a checkbox, like we had a question earlier, you can go be them and find out what checkbox have they missed or what's going on, what are they seeing. And then email notification list, like I had right here, is in this newsletter. And then we talk about home-based meetups, and then where to find some additional information on our NCEES Google site. All right. The next one over is that NCEES Data V7 that I've already opened up and showed you just real quick. We're going to go over all of that. And then the NCEES HR data elements, and we're going to go over this one as well. This also has to come in probably about the same time as your payroll budget information gets to Staff UID. This sends the teacher classification codes. If you are a link or an HRMS district, your payroll HR should already be sending this information. If you are manually sending information to DPI, like maybe charters, or you're using another third-party HR system, they may need this document to know to send these items. And we'll look at where this shows in staff demographics and why sometimes people are seeing a comprehensive plan in NCEES demographics when they're on a standard or an abbreviated plan. So we're going to talk about that. All right, any questions before we get into the meat of the session? All right. All right, so the first document I wanted to look at was the HR data. And this can be shared with your HR folks, payroll folks. Again, I said HRMS and Link should already be sending these if you are a Link district. One big issue that I want to talk about up front is sometimes staff are in a Link district and then they go to like a HRMS district, and the Link district does not stop sending codes. or they make the staff inactive and it starts sending in unlicensed code, UNL. So now the system sees link and it sees HRMS, or what does it pull first? So if we look at the rules over here, if there's data coming from two systems, if the teacher is found in link, it's going to pull the items from link first. All right. And it's going to pull their classification that you see here. Well, what's a classification? These are old, but we are still using them because that's the way our systems were set up. The SP1s and SP2s were career status and probationary. You'll see these codes, CLC, CLP. A beginning teacher was CLB. Temporary intern was CLT. Temporary intern beginning teacher was CTB. And then we had unlicensed UNL. And these fields had to list the classification code. So the school would have to be sending CLP, or licensure would have to be sending these codes here. So we just need to determine who sends this and where is it going, and can your district upload the correct codes so that it shows correctly in NCEES. There are going to be a couple of exceptions we'll talk about in a minute. If the teacher is found in link, you're also going to query PowerSchool for email. PowerSchool is authoritative for email, so it's going to look there first. If the email is not in PowerSchool, it's going to look in your HR data. So we have a field out here for email. So right here it is, and it must match. You know, it needs to be, especially if they are in PowerSchool and you're also sending this, then you need to make sure that they're the same. Okay. If the teacher is not found in link, it's going to pull classification, evaluation type, certification year, and from HR data. And that's probably going to be your HRMS first, if your HRMS district. Same rules for the email. It's going to come from here if it doesn't find the staff in PowerSchool. Charters, you will probably doing a manual upload of this. And again, you choose how often to update that, and whether you just want to update as people move. And you also need to remember when people leave to stop sending data. And that goes for any district link HRMS as well. When people leave, you need to stop sending this so there's not an overlap. Because when there's an overlap, it's probably going to look at link first, but we've had users report that it changes back and forth. So sometimes link data will pull in, sometimes HRMS data will pull in. And I'll be working with my team to confirm more on why that might be happening. Are we able to have a question? Are we able to change the email address? I've seen a few of my teachers have incorrect email addresses. So your teachers should be in PowerSchool. So get with the PowerSchool data manager and they should update the staff information page that has that email address. So make sure they have it correct there. If they are teachers that are not in PowerSchool for some reason, then yes, it needs to be updated on this document. If you're link or HRMS, get with those teams and make sure it is correct. All right, staff UID. Last year we were having these talks and we found out that we had some payroll HR systems that thought they had to wait until the first paycheck was paid out for beginning staff, brand new staff. So it'd be 30, 60 days down the road before that they could activate them in staff UID. That is true. This communication went out last year and has been updated for this year from Jordan Kincaid, who's over staff UID and the NCEES Cloud Rapid Identity System, we also call IM. So I'll let you read over this, but there should be a timely and accurate exchange of data between the PSU payroll system and the staff UID system. These are especially needed for staff members who need access to PowerSchool, SchoolNet, NCEES. They can go ahead and get their UIDs, and it's going to be up to your district if you want to activate them before the first day of school. Different payrolls are set those rules as to when they can be activated, but they do not have to wait until after the paycheck was paid out. They need to be, especially in NCEES, your beginning teachers, if there's any way payroll will work with you, to get them in over the summer so that they can be working on their NCEES PD, and then get ready for when they'll be ready when you do have that first day of school. and you're doing the training and orientation process, they'll already be active in there. So work with your districts. DPI does not, we're not the authority on when the first day your districts do make them active in staff UID, but they should be getting them in there before the first paycheck is paid out. And then if you have those contract non-payroll staff, use the document at the bottom of the screen to get their UIDs so that they can get in the system as well. You'll have to crosswalk their pay code, and we're going to look at that in a minute. We haven't talked about that yet. If you're entering those non-payroll staff into UID, because they're going to need a pay code to get into NCEES. All right, and Jordan also supplied these documents. This is the staff UID/IM data flow, part 1. I need to close my door, but it's way back there. Hold on just a minute. Oh, our baby's here. Hold on just a minute. Hey, Jerry, will you shut that door? No, this door. Thank you. All right, pardon that interruption. Thank you. All right. All right, so this is a staff UID, IM data flow, part 1. And it goes with your employee data in the PSU. Your finance HR employees enter that HR data for your employees into the payroll system. Here it is in the payroll system. Let me see if I can get a pointer up here for you. All right, employee data, finance and HR enters it into the payroll system. It goes up to UID right here. It's exported here and goes to UID. So payroll report is exported, an Excel sheet usually, and then it goes up to staff UID. They upload it to staff UID. If you have non-payroll staff, you're manually doing that process, uploading to staff UID. Occasionally there is a file that is exported from UID and then goes back to the payroll system. Once it's here, I'll wait a minute for this bar to go away so you can see. All right, so down here is the data that comes in. So here's staff UID. Here it is right here. All this data is going to feed into DPI's operational data store. Information is coming from staff UID. Information is coming from PowerSchool. Information is coming from Link and HRMS and other HR systems, all going into the operational data store, where then the data is integrated and different systems have a file creation process. Those files are then sent to an SFTP server, and the vendors' files consume those files and process them. Here, this right here, ID Auto is processing the files for IM and NCA Cloud, and it goes right here. Right above, I added this. During this data integration, the NCEES TNL person import file is created. Yes. We have a question?
Cami, yes. Quick question. There was a question sent about the classification piece, and I'm not exactly sure because I don't use Link HR that much, but where is the field found for classification, thinking about the position or the demographic page in Link HR? Do you know, or maybe someone within the group thinking about that classification?
Where is it found in the HRMS system?
On the demographic page or the position page of Link HR, if they're using Link.
Oh, if Link. So anybody out there, if you're using Link, I may have a old screenshot in an email. I think somebody sent me one a while back.
Yeah,
I'd have to find it, but yes, that would be good to know where it's coming from. That's going to be part of my talks as I move forward.
yeah, I'm not as familiar myself either because we have someone else in the office, but I could find out if we needed to as a follow-up.
So do we say have a QA or something? Was that in the chat?
Someone had sent me a little note.
Okay, gotcha.
So the question, Jenna's asked to repeat the question. So thinking of classification, where exactly is this field found? On the position or the demographic page in Link HR?
Here. Yeah, because it does look different depending on what system you're in.
Is anyone out there
Anybody know that?
Share with us. If not, we can.
Speak up. You can unmute yourself, I think, or put it in the chat if you want to think about it. All right, thank you for that question. And we'll take that back and get an answer. All right, so this slide we're going to read from the bottom up. So we showed you how your information was loaded was in payroll. It does get exported and uploaded to staff UID. These same fields for NCEES, first name, last name, staff UID, are they active or inactive? That says role, which is based on their salary code, and the location they're at. Very important. And then Power School is sending email addresses. The HR data is coming in with email addresses, primary location, and teacher classification codes. And then licensure is sending the license expiration date. There are some calculations going on during this process. One of those is the license cycle year. All of that gets calculated, and then this creates the NCEES TNL person import file. We still call it TNL. Our system was originally known as True North Logic. So the person import file is still known as the TNL, excuse me, person import file. Let me get a drink. Okay, so these are the source systems: UID, HR, Link, the HR systems, HRMS for subscribing districts, and similar automated systems for others, HR data spreadsheets, NCDPI licensure system, who is authoritative for licensure staff data. Power School is authoritative for staff email. Notice that NCEES is not authoritative for any of this information. Your source systems are. All right, and then how does this, what time does all of this process? So for the TNL person import file, data starts getting pulled from 4 p.m. And you saw those on Jordan's slide as well. Don't think I talked about the time, but it's all our data starts pulling at 4 p.m. for some. And then through the next few hours, it's also pulling HR data, Link, HRMS, non-HRMS, and licensure. And then around 11 p.m., the person import file is created. It's sent to the vendor sometime around midnight, 1 a.m., somewhere in there. And then by 4 a.m., the vendor has processed the file and imported it into NCEES. And I get the summary report emails for the person import file. We also do the location or /site import file as well. Every night, those get sent.
Tammy.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, it's Sherri. Just got a question. Is there any way we can change the data pull from the UID system to later after 4 o'clock?
We'd have to take that back. I don't know that. We can request, like we can always ask, but I don't know, because it used to be around 5 and they moved it up to 4. I don't know who makes that decision, but
I'm just curious because when you update, I still call it Cedars, but the Sunpack, when you update that, everybody has to be out of the payroll system to update it or they get an error. So if they could push it after 5 o'clock, that might help some districts out, because if they wait till late in the afternoon to run their updates and they've already pulled the data, then everybody has to wait another day unless you actually manually go out to the UID system and add it.
Okay, good point. And I'll see if I can get some clarification on which files actually start pulling at 4. And maybe if those like Sunpack and other HR files are getting pulled later than 4. See if we can get maybe some more detailed clarification on the times.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Sherri. All right, so this is just a little blurb about that nightly person import file. And to grant access for your staff members to the system, you need to update staff UID and HR systems. So please review the slides that we just talked about and the upcoming slides we're going to go over. The system only picks up staff with valid budget object purpose codes that we're going to look at next. Please ensure that your users are coded appropriately in the UID system from the NCEES Data V7 document. We'll take a look at that. All right, so I wanted to kind of show you, and I'm sorry it's yank yank, but it fit better on the screen right here. This across the middle that's angled is what comes in on the person import file. So the first two areas are the employee ID and the username that you see in NCEES. And we're going to look at all that in a minute so you know where it lives. But this is the same. These are the 10-digit UID numbers of your staff, the employee ID and the username. And then it's going to look in UID. It's going to get the last name, the first name, middle name if there is one. And all of this is authoritatively coming from payroll. We have one little block in the middle for the email. The source is PowerSchool. If it's not in PowerSchool, it's in HR, and it comes in from there. If it doesn't find an email, it does one of those no reply at True North Logic emails. So if you see that on your staff, you need to go update your emails either in HR or in PowerSchool. And then as we go across, payroll is also sending the active status. It's going to send an A for active and I for inactive. And then the next part is also in payroll. It's our demographic code here. It's also our budget codes. So here I see a 121, and I know that means this is a teacher in a classroom. This is the teacher classroom role has code 121. The next two are calculated codes. ETP is going to tell me what plan type the system thinks they should be on. CY3 is cycle 3, so this system thinks this teacher is on cycle year 3. So ETP is the code for the system calculated plan type, and there's other codes. And CY3, CY0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the code for the license cycle year. The next fields that come in, and here we have a charter, 61Q000, so your LEA number and then your 3-digit school number. So for charters, there are 3 digits there in the beginning, and then they always have just 000 after. So the location code comes first. If this can have more than one field in it, and it could have more than one location in it. So then what is the primary location? So that is determined in that HR data document, the primary location. It is also determined in staff UID if staff are active at more than one location. There's a last update date. Whichever of these multiple locations has the last update date in staff UID can get marked as the primary location for NCEES. So that was the primary location is where you want your evaluation to live. And then finally, it brings in that license expiration date from licensure. So any questions about what's coming in on the person import file? Okay. So here's a close-up look at the NCEES Data V7. So that whole document goes over all those screenshots that I just showed you, and the last page has these codes. And these codes are coming from the chart of accounts. I'll show you where that is, if you're familiar with that, because this is somebody else's department probably. Chart of accounts page out here on our DPI site. And you know, this was new last year, so if you're using these, go ahead and bookmark these links that I'm giving you because they are new links. And you're going to come out here to the chart of accounts. And if you want to know, the purpose code and object code summaries are down here. I went chart of accounts. I went under supporting documents for this school year. We're mainly looking at object codes here. And we're mainly looking at the certified salaries. So let me just find 121. And there's my 121 teacher. In NCEES, they're known as 121 teacher-classroom. So here it is. There's just a definition out here for you. Now, this also works for charters, but charters, I believe you have your own, you're under a different PRC code. So you may have a different link you need to go to. But all the codes that are in NCEES are also under the charter PRC codes as well. The purpose codes further define some of these roles, and we'll come back out here and look at this. So this makes sense. All right, so notice that some of these roles, as long as I see a 3-digit object code, I'll have a role in NCEES if I have one of these codes. So 111 for superintendents, 114 for principals, assistant principals 116, finance officers, you're getting in with 115, the one classified staff, administrative specialists. A lot of your payroll people want to give you 151. This is not going to get you in NCEES. Now, if you have it and you're already in NCEES, it's because you were hand entered when NCEES was set up, and I just have not kicked you out. So you may still be in there with a 151, but if you're for any reason the system kicked you out for any reason, you would have to have a 153 to get back in, because 153 is the only classified code that accountability has approved, and that's from Alexis Schaus at accountability. If you want to get in as a classified staff or administrative, you must use code 153. Here's that teacher classroom. Some additional, here's the master teacher, 127. Here's our new code, 128, reemployed retired teacher, that I hope you can see by the end of the week in NCEES. And then notice here, this one has 7 digits. So I've got my 3-digit object code and my 4-digit purpose code. Notice 131 has to have a purpose code beside it to define the role that you see in NCEES. So if you're a counselor, you're getting in with 131, 58, 30. If you're a library media coordinator, you're getting in with 131, 58, 10. There are some additional 131 codes that currently are not getting in NCEES, but very few. So we'll work on those as we move forward. Wanted to talk about 132. Your audiologists are in NCEES, and it also brings in your speech people. Just mark that they do not get an evaluation in NCEES. They have their own fillable form. But they're getting in because they have code 132. But it's good for them. They can go take PD if they want. So they're in the system. So any questions about understanding the role of the object and purpose codes as far as bringing in roles into NCEES, into the NCEES system? All right, so let's take a look at staff UID. There's a link up here. Some of you have been granted access to staff UID. If you go to the staff UID page, you can request access in your district if you're an NCEES lead. Some districts say, yeah, go ahead and you can be out there and look. And the other districts said, no, we're giving that access to payroll and HR staff. So just work with your district on whether you can come out here and see this or not. This is where I go when I troubleshoot why is somebody not getting into NCEES. So I do want to put a picture here, so as you communicate with those staff, if you don't have district access, then you can at least know you've seen what they're looking at, so you can tell them what to look at. So the reason why people call this CEDARS is in the URL, it says CEDARS right here. This is not the CEDARS system. This is the staff ID system, staff UID system. So when you come out here, you sign in. It's going to give you general information about the staff, their personal information. This is where I live, on the vocational information tab. I may also look at history to see why somebody got kicked out of the system for any reason. Maybe a wrong budget code got uploaded and it kicks them out. I can look in the history and see that process. But under vocational information, you're going to have your LEA, you're going to have the school that the person is at or the county that the person is at. You're going to see their hire date. NCEES really doesn't use that. This annual salary field. This is going to be your budget codes. This is not how much money anybody is earning. This is a budget code. So notice that 121 right there. That looks familiar. That's the teacher classroom code. So it doesn't matter what 4 digits are following here. This person is getting into NCEES because they have a 121 teacher classroom code. And I say that, but then I look down here and it says active no. So my niece T&L person import file is going to say, hey, there's a 121. I need to put this person in NCEES. And then it's going to come down and look at the active, and they say, oh, I need to mark them inactive in NCEES. So whenever you're marking staff inactive, make sure the budget code does not change. Your district should not blank it out. They should not change it until they've sent that active no, or the T&L person import file is not going to know to inactivate staff. If you change the budget code because they're now doing some other job that will never need NCEES again, that's why they stay active in NCEES, because you've not sent the no on the code that said they were in NCEES. Does that make sense? And then we're going to take a look at this last update date on the next slide. So over here on the left, we're looking at Watauga school information. Here is a salary object purpose code. So 1136222. That's not, I don't think that's going to get you in NCEES. And then down here, notice this is a county level person. I guess it's been almost 2 years ago now. These are Eddy locations. They're coming from the Eddy site. This right here is a finance location. About 2 years ago, they started using these so that they could keep track of where the funds were actually coming from for these staff. Well, that kicked people out of NCEES. So now any kind of finance codes that are locations are masked to look like 000. So NCEES will still put them in. So if I'm out here looking at an 810, I know that it's being masked for NCEES as 000, and I can look at this budget code and see if they're getting in NCEES that way. Okay. So over on the right, I've got somebody at Wayne County. They're also at virtual public schools. Can they do that? Yes. They're active at both. This one has principal. This one has teacher. This one here, because they have principal at public school, we would ask NCVPS to take them out of NCEES, because this right here overrides the 114 is evaluator access. It's a system assigned evaluator access. So then they would see everybody here because they have evaluator access. The system thinks they need to be evaluator at this location as well. So keep that in mind. Now, if it was 121 here and 121 here, that's fine. That just means they're a user. They're only going to see their stuff. So that would be okay. Now, how does it know which one of these is their primary location? It's going to look at the most recent last update date. So this is actually their primary location, Wayne County Schools. But maybe in NCEES, it's showing the virtual public schools as the primary location. Well, why? Because this date is newer than this date. So these can be manually updated in the UID site. There's a little pencil icon that I can come out here. I can change something, like I usually just like add a number to their salary code, save it, come back in and put the code back so that this date updates to be the most recent update date. All right. A lot to think about, a lot to look at, and a lot to understand. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put those questions in or unmute and ask, please. All right, so where does all this show up in NCEES? So this is going to be in your staff details and staff profile. We'll look at those closer in a minute, but this is what's inside the staff profile. You can go to My Staff, go to a person's name, click on the little arrow, and open their staff profile. If you're a district administrator, you may be in the user accounts page. Just click on the name and open up the staff details, staff profile. And this is what you're going to see about midway down. You have to expand to see the demographics. So it always says certification year, and these can all show up different. If a classification code is coming in, those ETPs and whatever else, It's going to say what classification code are you and what plan type do I think you should be on. And I think you should be on the comprehensive type. And right there it says comprehensive evaluation type. Are you instructional or are you administrative? So your support staff, they won't show support here. They will always show instructional, and that's as designed. Please don't change it. Our reports run off either administrative or instructional. Support staff fall up under the definition of instructional staff, so they are coming in the system as instructional staff. It's going to look at that license cycle expiration date, and it's going to calculate the license cycle year. This is a role. Other stuff that could come in here, that's part of their license that's coming in, and I need to review why it sometimes bring in this word other. And then what role are they assigned? And that here you'll see teacher classroom. Now, these are not color coded for you in the system. It took me a long time to figure out how to read this. And we've asked for them to make this a more readable view. So hopefully that'll come when we upgrade. But right now they've not been able to figure out a way to put lines between these or to make it more readable. All right, we'll try to explain how we calculate that license cycle year. So the first thing in this rule, these are the rules I have for NCEES requirements. It's going to look in licensure to see if they have a code of an S or an 8 or an L or a 4. Well, what does that mean? So let's go look. So over here, if I see an S, I'm an SP1. If I see an 8, I'm an initial formerly SP1 license. If I see an L, I'm a lateral entry, which is now known as residency. If I see a 4, I have a temporary permit valid for the first fiscal year. Right? So we're going to look at this sample staff member. It says they're on licensure cycle year 5. And I had a question from somebody, I don't think they're on licensure cycle year 5. Well, the system thinks they are. Why? So it's going to look at this license expiration date. So if I see an L, I need to look at the second, and I color coded this for our understanding, is I'm going to need to look at the green calculations, which are on the next page. So what am I looking at? I'm looking at the system date. So what year is it right now? It's 2020. And what month is it right now? It's November. It's month 11. Is that greater than month 6? Yes. So if it is, I'm going to look at this first set of data right here. So what do I need to know next? I need to know the license expiration date, 6/30/2021, right here. Is that less than or equal to 2020 plus 1, which will be 2021? Yes, that's less than or equal to that. This says 2021. 2020 plus 1 is 2021. Well, then this person is on cycle year 5. That's why you see cycle year 5 right here. All right, thought I saw a question coming in. What if I have someone in the system with the following data? How would we update the unlicensed? So, Angela, did you want to ask that out loud? Oh, here, I see it below. So if it says unlicensed, yes, we're going to talk about that. Let me see if I've got that on the next slide. Right here, unlicensed. If it says unlicensed, and I think I have another slide coming up too, so we'll review that. It's coming from your data that's coming in. It could be a staff that has older data from another system. So if you're on HRMS and they were on Link and they've left the previous district and now they're just showing unlicensed in their Link system, that is coming over as well as yours. And I know Brian currently has one that we're working with that we found that the staff had data from Link and data from HRMS. His system is using HRMS. The previous school from 3 years ago is using Link. So we need to get that cleaned up. So the previous district needs to clean up their data. They're supposed to tell DPI not to, or they should not be sending that data anymore to DPI. DPI doesn't know when people change districts. So that's got to be cleaned up at each person's district. So when your staff are leaving, they need to stop sending the data. Okay. All right. Does that help, Angela? Yeah. Yeah. If it's a recent hire, I would check that previous district see if they're still sending that data, because it is going to look at linked data first and then HRMS. All right. How do we calculate these evaluation types? So here it's going to say NCEES requirements. The value is 3 characters in length. ETC is career status, where it sees a classification code here of CLC. So if it's all CLC here, it's going to say code this person ETC. What does ETC mean? It means they should be on a standard plan. If they're probationary, or if it sees one of these classification codes, CLB, CLP, CLB, or CLT. Beginning teacher, probationary teacher, temporary licensed teacher. They're going to get ETP. Well, what does that mean? That means they get a comprehensive plan, or the system thinks they do. And an ETA, career status abbreviated. Well, that's self-explanatory, but it's not looking. Where's the where teacher for classification code? It doesn't have a definition here. So if your staff are on abbreviated plans, and we just kind of figured this out, NCEES doesn't know what plan type it thinks they should be on. Abbreviated plans are up to the district as to whether they get assigned. So they are probably either going to show standard or comprehensive. So this person is on an abbreviated plan, but they're showing comprehensive because nobody's updated this to be one of these, to be here so that standard will show. There's nothing to update so that abbreviated will show. So let me work with my team to see if there's a way to do this, or I may survey you guys and see if we should just stop showing this kind of data in NCEES. So I would like your input on that. NCEES is not authoritative with this. You should not be using this for determining plan types. It's just here for informational purposes only. All right. So I got one person saying the sound is going in and out. Is everybody else okay? I'll move my mic a little closer. All right. All right, so we need to move on so we can give Angela some time in just a minute, and Sherri. The demographic role shows in the staff details, and here's the user details page that I showed you. This is what we've been looking at the close-up of. The user details is also called staff profile. These are all the information that comes in. Demographics. So maybe you see some items here and you say, well, I can change that. I can go to set demographics and I can check any one of these boxes that I want to. Well, you can, but the person in is going to override it every night. So there's no need for you time to come out here and change these statuses. So I see please remove graphics altogether from the user and site admin view. It's not always correct and it just confuses people. That's a good suggestion, Sally. Let me see if we can get that removed from the user view and the site admin view. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm on a webinar, so I don't know.
Oh, that's Rhonda. Hang on. Let me see if I mute. Hey, Rhonda, can you mute, please? All right, I think we're good. All right, so I will take that back. Yes, definitely. Yeah, because it also shows up when they print their PDP plans, I believe, and the record of activities. It shows that same thing. The other thought I had was to actually have it pull from what is set on the teacher plan type field on the My Staff page is for part of that. The rest of that, I too would like to hide. We get a lot of questions. All right, thank you, Rhonda. You can also navigate to the staff dashboards if you're a district administrator or a site administrator, and see the roles in the system. We're going to move on because it's 11:30. I want to give Angela some time. And here's that staff roster page. So this is where we're going to move on to the next pages. You're onboarding your new staff this year. And if I can make Sherri. Sherri, did you need to be presenter or did you just want to talk?
I can just talk.
Okay. Well, you're on, everybody. This is Sherri Thomas from Guildford County Schools.
This is a report that I created, and I will be glad to help anybody who needs to. I went through and based on, for Guildford County Schools, if they are a BT 1, 2, or 3, they're automatically put on a comprehensive plan. If they are not a BT 1, 2, or 3, and their license expires 6/30/2021, it's marked as standard. And then the others, if they're a media specialist, whatever. I went through and did like a query on the AS400, and this is from HRMS. All of our principals have access to run this, and we tell them to run it at the beginning of each school year so they know what plan type the person should be on. For Guildford County Schools, this has made it a whole lot easier because sometimes people get really confused. They'll go, oh, they're brand new to my school, so they put them on a comprehensive. Well, no, they're not a BT 1, 2, or 3. And then we get to the end of the school year and they wonder why they can't create their summary. And I'll go, that's because you put them on a comprehensive and they have to have a peer. Well, they've taught for 14 years. I understand that, but you put them on a comprehensive. So now, therefore, you have to have a peer to start your summary. So this helps alleviate some of the confusion. This year, we also have a SharePoint site that we have for all of our principals, and we took and pushed this out so they wouldn't actually have to go into HRMS and run the report. They just go to the SharePoint site and pull it up and go, okay, this is what I need. And as you notice, I put your choice standard or abbreviated. That was for the ones that were not a BT, they weren't a school support staff, and their license did not end 6/30/2021. I would be glad to share my code with anybody that wants this. It was relatively easy. It's just a bunch of queries.
All right. Thank you. All right. Does anybody have any comments? I know I get questions from districts that don't use HRMS. Do we have anybody on that wants to talk about how they decide what plan types to use?
Cami, I think I sent you the chart for Granville who's not on HRMS.
Right.
We have a chart that we utilize. We send as part of our beginning of the year opening training session with our principals.
Yeah, let me. Well, Angela?
That's fine if you don't have it.
Yeah, I had it up there. Here it is.
And while you're finding that, I just put my email address out in the chat for anybody that wants to come.
Okay. Ooh. Oh, somebody needs to.
I think that's Kathy.
Let me. Oh, I got it. Yes. Ooh, sorry about that.
So this is the chart we give our principals and working with. We pull the licensure report for each school, and in our opening training session with our principals, we have them look at the type of license that they have and their renewal year. So from there, any beginning teacher or any teacher who has a SP1L initial license is on the comprehensive, and then standard plans, if they are a new teacher to Granville County with a continuing SP2L license, then they will go on standard their first year with us. And any, of course, in the renewal year there. And then also, if there's any teacher who's on a monitored, directed, or a MIP plan for any way, would also go on a standard plan. And then, of course, our abbreviated are those not on a monitored, directed, or MIP. They're not a new hire, but they are a continuing licensed teacher in their renewal year. And then the same with our support staff. Of course, there's no abbreviated, although that question gets asked a lot. And then the SP1 initial license versus the continuing.
Okay. So this pulls straight from, you got this out of licensure report.
Yeah, we use our licensure report that
Yep.
we share with each of our principals at the 1st of August after we've hired everyone.
All right.
Others
So
out there.
I'll let Angela continue. She's going to do the next part of our training, and then maybe we'll have a few minutes for any additional questions. Angela's going to talk about onboarding new hires.
Okay. I know all of us each year have new teacher orientation. One of the roles in Granville County, with being a smaller district with 18 schools, is that I am an HR. I am the beginning teacher coordinator. I'm also the NCEES coordinator. So we have multiple roles. And one of the things is this year with COVID and doing everything virtually, we were able to have our orientation for those who onboard coming in. And we did our training virtually and had our breakout groups within Zoom to do our traditional training adapted that way if they were hired prior to orientation. One of the things that I've taken this year is any new hire coming on board after orientation, they will complete 2 of the modules within the PD tab within NCEES. And the first one is looking at the North Carolina Professional Teacher Standards, getting to know the standards, which is number 720, where they're able to go into that module, complete that. And I do require the journal component, so I've set that up as a Google form for them to link on, make their own copy. So they will get their certificate at the end of that module and complete their journal as they're going through it. The second task that they would complete is the module number 1271 of understanding the process. And of course, the certificate and the journal that goes along with that. So they're getting the standards and they're getting the process. And then they would upload in our learning management system that we use. And I know Cammie's got a screenshot of that. It may be hard for you to see, but their task 3 would be to upload both certificates and their journal. The next thing they would do is then participate in a local Zoom session, no more than 30 minutes, usually around there, to get our local process and procedures of how we handle that, our timelines, the expectations within the district, and just those local processes. So that's a little bit of how we handle onboarding our new hires in Granville County Public Schools, so that we can ensure all new teachers have completed that training before they start their orientation in that first step of the process. We just want to make sure we're documenting that. And if they come from another district that have completed the training, then we'll take that documentation and then just have them do the Zoom for the local processes and procedures. We just want to make sure that they've got all of that information. So that's the part of onboarding there. Any questions or thoughts there, Cammie?
Can you explain the last requirement for BTs again? I'm not sure if that's for me or to who that's for, Nicole.
So the last requirement for beginning teachers, all the last late hire. So if they are coming in after orientation, they're beginning teachers. On the left side of the screenshot that Cammie is showing now, this is our learning management system. And so this is what I used with orientation while they were hired during orientation the first week of August. And then I've got a tab here for these are the modules that they complete after orientation. So they have to complete both modules on the standards, on the process, and then they complete a 30-minute Zoom for any Q&A from the modules that we start out with reflecting, and then we work through the local process, procedures, expectations, timelines that are locally. Does that answer, Nicole?
Yeah, she said thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts or questions? Just one way to try to make the hybrid, the tools that are existing there within the PD tab. So just trying to utilize that more. Probably should have been doing that earlier.
Yeah, we had a question about the licensure report that you did. What licensure report is that?
So our licensure specialist pulls that out of the licensure system, DPI online licensure system. So it's the licensure report pulled by school for all of their certified employees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other?
You can also pull it from HRMS, that licensure report too.
Thank you, Sherri. Yep. I know we all use various tools across the state, so.
Yep.
Okay, the second part that Cammie and I were talking about is working with our principals and our assistant principals. So we kick off our year, I think I mentioned, as soon as new teacher orientation is over with and all the staff have been added into NCEES, that My Staff page has all the new hires as well as all the transfers within the district. We have our principals come in for a session, and the HR director and I co-facilitate this session. And so we just bring about the new changes that we get from our home-based meetup in July within the system. We work back through, we have a slides presentation for our annual orientation process, and we update that with any updated timeline because we started school a little bit earlier this year than we had in our past, and we eliminated our year-round schools this past year, so our timeline was updated. And then, so we have that for principals, that it's a turnkey. They can go back and utilize that as their orientation. And that's when we set up that time to review the My Staff tab to determine the plan type. So we just say, what if scenarios, and we have them think through that. We created some of those. And we give them time to open up and answer questions that are within there. And this is just with our principals. Our principals set those plan types. And they use that licensure report as well as that chart for determining plan types because they only do this once a year. So we want to give them a little bit of time to complete that, and we have them do that right then and there. That way, we also have a Google form for data correction. So if, say, an itinerant AIG teacher or ESL teacher is no longer at their school, but the data may have not been corrected and linked because you got to go through HR and finance with the linked system. We have a Google form and they just enter that data right there so that I can pull that out and share that with our link HR and finance. And it's just on one document from there. And then we have them assign the rights for themselves with the APs. And then set the deadlines for the mentor assignments from there. So we sort of open up our school year with that and give them some time for Q&A. And they help each other. We just talk out loud, different things that are going on. So we kick off our year that way. But one of the things I really wanted to share with you is that COVID-19 page that Cammie and Robert have worked on with Kim. I don't know how much you utilize those sites, but we last week had our principals and assistant principals. We had a district professional development day, and it was very timely and couldn't be more pleased at how we were able to have that session and that time. But we pulled our principals and assistant principals in with the new guidance for observing remote and blended learning. That's the page on the right-hand side. So we went back. We were fortunate to have Robert Sachs come to the district last year to do a half-day session, and we offered it in the morning or afternoon and had all of our principals and assistant principals attend that presentation that he does about the rubric and validating your responses that goes through the nouns, the verbs, the comparing with the blooms, if you remember that presentation. So we did a little refresher last week. We used that to go back and hit the highlights because 2020 has been a crazy year. So we sort of framed the reference for our principals and assistant principals, did a little bit of a refresher review, and then we pulled the video that is on the COVID page. It's about 13 minutes. And we had our principals review that together. At the end of that, we did a little Q&A session from the video, and then we also blended in our Granville County remote learning model that all of our staff was required to complete, because if you've looked at those documents, you will see that instructional framework for blended and remote learning that's utilized. So we had a little bit of a discussion with that. And I actually pulled the data to, because not 100, we didn't have 100% of our principals and APs that had completed that. So I pulled that data to show by principals and APs the percentages, and said how important it was to ensure that they did that, validate for our staff their understanding. So we've asked them to complete that prior to that first observation if they had not done. But at the end, I pulled a Google form together to look at those instructional practices, standards 2, 3, and 4, and the professional practices, standard 1 and 5. And we had a time where we had them think through. I pulled that screenshot on a Google form for those practices and the section that was in the video that Robert shared. And we've started pulling together a best practices of what they have observed to date. And they're going to continue to update that by each standard so that we can utilize that document and share internally. I had them use the Google form. I broke it down by elementary, middle school, high school, or K-12 if it's our alternative school and or our blended learning school, so that we could pull that data and share that by standard. So we started that, and we're going to pull back together another session once they've completed that first observation, look at that, and then tweak that a little bit more. So that's how we're utilizing the website with them. And we also took that opportunity to share that if you are a principal, here are the upcoming webinars for October with the cultural leadership and November with the HR leadership, to build into there and just remind them as they are looking on their side of their PDP that there are resources that DPI is sharing with them. The last plug I'd like to pull in, if you have new assistant principals, like we have 3, I've had them completing the AP webinar series as part of their ongoing training from their side. So those would be a little bit about how Granville County is currently using the resources to implement for our new hires from that side, and then in supporting our principals and assistant principals.
Well, thank you, Angela. That's very good information. And this is your time, guys. So any comments, questions, anything you want to add? What's your district doing as best practice for your new hires or your principals? Please do chime in. While you're thinking about that, you can unmute yourself. If you can't, just put something in the chat if I need to unmute you. So we have a few minutes left. We got about 10 minutes. So let's take any questions from the group. And while those are coming in, or while you guys are unmuting, please do go ahead and ask those. Here, I'll go through our resource slides while you're thinking about any questions. Here are your NCEES contacts in the center section from DPI. Dr. Dietrich is our home-based manager. I am your product consultant. Robert is our NCEES product owner, and then Kim is our NCEES coordinator. I handle all the system questions. Robert and Kim do all the policy questions as well. Both fantastic. Kim used to be a principal. Robert knows everything there is to know about NCEES on the policy side and how it works. And then Angela did introduce our home-based advisory board. Always good input. We should have another advisory session coming up soon. If you can, these are all email links. So if you have any thoughts, how to improve the system, let them know. If you have any issues you want them to bring us at the Home Base Advisory Board, let them know within the next couple weeks, because we will be having a meeting soon. And then please do update this list. I sent out an email from this list to everybody reminding them of our home base meetups, and got a lot of bounce backs from the NCEES Leads. And in here, it's not called NCEES, it's called Unified Talent. You know, we have several names for this system. But the Unified Talent Leads out here definitely need to be updated. I got over 50 bounce backs, I believe. So please make sure you come out here and email Yolanda Wilson, or open a ServiceNow support ticket to update your contacts on the list. All right. Instructions to set up a PD office. Yes, there is a help guide for that. And Beanie, you can go. I recently updated the help guides page. I may not have uploaded that one yet, so I can get that to you, Beanie, and I'll get it uploaded on that help guides page as well. And then if we missed any questions, please just repost it. They probably scrolled up on the chat. Let us know if we missed any questions. Again, here's that NCEES Google site. And I believe Rob talked about this, the links for tomorrow and the rest of the week. And our next session will be in November. We are always on Monday, it looks like. So right now we are still virtual. Here's that COVID page that Angela was referring to, and the recording there as well. These are our webinars. We're done with August. And I will come out here and update these here, so you'll also have the links to the recordings in your slide deck as well. This was a fantastic session. The recording is posted on our NCEES YouTube site. And here's our October webinars coming up. This is that AP series that Angela has her new APs going to. They loved this series last year. I believe they will again this year. Doesn't always have to be the brand new APs. Any APs that want to get more insight, we had a few of those joining last year as well. They don't have to make all the sessions, but they should probably come to as many. It is driven by them, so any questions they have, she does thoroughly go over all the standards that they need to learn and that they're evaluating on, all that kind of thing, and that they're getting evaluated on. All right, and then we're going to have a NCEES Do You Know Tips session on October 13th from me. Kim's going to do another session for principals on cultural leadership. And then I'm going to talk about how to use staff groups. That'll be our month of October. All right, and I'll let you the rest of those. Let's see what else we have. Looks like we have a new link out here. Let me put this in the chat. This must be our feedback. Let me copy this, and so you can get your certification for your training session today. And thank you, Angela and Sherri, for helping me with the training session. We'll have to time these out so that we have plenty of time at the end for the networking time as well. That was probably me, probably talked too long, but I don't see any other questions coming in right now. Let me get this. Oh. This is going to be your feedback link that I'm putting in the chat right now. Insert. There you go. So that's in the chat right now. Any final comments from the group? We had over 40 here today, so that's wonderful. Thank you guys for taking time to come out today. Those you had to come out, come back in. I appreciate you joining us when you could. This is being recorded, so I'm going to stop this session in just a couple minutes, but I do want to hang on for any other questions that are coming in. All right, so everybody's quiet. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and stop recording. I see the thank yous. You're welcome very much. Happy Monday. I see a happy autumn. Yes, everybody. Yes, it feels good out there. You guys go have a great rest of your Monday and a great week. Thank you.